Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Sterling McKinley, and you're listening to In the Black podcast. Each week, we interview a new, diverse entrepreneur and we share their story, their challenges, their backgrounds, but most importantly, how they build a business that is profitable. Because at the end of the day, it's all about that being profitable. Tonight's guest is Kimberly Branch. She is the CEO and founder of Bit by Bit Computer Training, a consulting firm that services state, local, and federal clients. Let's get started. Kimberly, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, I gave a very short, brief intro because I hate reading intros, bio, because they're long, they're boring, they're lifeless. So, I want you to take 30 seconds and tell us who you are and what did you do.
Okay, so first and foremost, I am a child of God. And what I do is I look for opportunities to turn them into profitable enterprises. My main focus is in the IT arena. As you said, I do own Bit by Bit Computer Training. We started as a computer training company, but we have definitely grown in services over the years as the opportunities have presented themselves.
Great. Thank you for that intro. So, let's go back because one of the things I love is sharing that journey. So, let's talk about how you got started. What were some of those early stories, early ways that you were introduced to being an entrepreneur?
So, growing up here in Baltimore City, my mom and my aunt Lily, they used to have what we call dinners, and that's where they
Okay.
they cook these meals and then they sell them to the community. So
Right.
my cousins and I, we grew up watching that, being right there at the knee from the very beginning, watching, the budgeting of it
Mm-hmm.
and the money coming in and the execution of it. So the
Right.
very tables that they would have those dinners on, I would put those tables out in my backyard, put all of my toys out on them, and then charge my friends to come in and
Okay.
play with them.
Right.
And so what I will say is not only did I, charge them, I also gave back that early on. There were kids in the neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
who didn't have toys, so I would, give them some of the toys. But from charging my friends to come in and play with toys, it moved into house parties. I came up at a
Okay.
time where we had a lot of house parties. My cousin
Right.
Angela and I would have these house parties, and we made pretty good money from the house parties.
Okay.
And then from house parties, we were introduced to network marketing. I can remember selling water filters and Shape Right health products and
Okay.
things like that. Um, and from the network marketing, because I was on social services and I
Well,
was living in
let's slow down a little bit first.
okay.
We're hopping ahead, but I like what you said about the starting out, and
Mhm,
I always say, I think you should do what you know and do what's natural to you. And
mhm,
myself, growing up, seeing your parents and your family do things, you want to be
mhm.
like them. So, I think
Yes.
that's really cool. You start where you're at.
Mhm.
Um, so going back to the toys, how much would you rent out the toys for? How did that work?
Well, I would just charge a quarter. I
Of
had
course.
like the
Okay.
tabletop video games
Right.
that I would
Okay.
set them up. I had like a basket with doll babies in them.
Right.
It was just about paying your quarter. You come
Hmm.
in and you can play with the toys.
Right. Okay. So, what did you
Yeah.
learn from those early experiences? What were some of the challenges, I guess, of doing business with your friends? What are some things you learned about business even at that young age?
At that very young age, I learned that, you know, I had stuff people would pay for. I was
Okay.
able to I was able to provide something that people would pay for. And I can honestly say that stuck with me up until now. And the other thing I
Right.
learned is that, some people are not so fortunate,
Hmm.
and so then I had that also kind of pulled at my heartstrings, which
Right.
also not only did I want to make money, but I wanted to be able to support those who didn't
Right.
have as well.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I definitely agree with that. And that's one thing too about going back to being profitable. I think
Mhm.
the mistake we all make at times is we have an idea in our head. It sounds great, but at the end of the day, is there people there to buy that? Do people
Mhm.
want that product? So I think one thing is like creating products and services that people want.
Yes.
Instead of trying to be, super unique and
Mhm.
different, fine, be unique, different, but create a product somebody wants. I think that's very,
Yes.
very key. So you mentioned that you were on public assistance, and from there
Mhm.
you transferred into Bit by Bit. Tell us more
Mhm.
about that transition and what you learned from that stage.
So I was receiving public assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know it as, I'm gonna say it as plainly as possible: food stamps and a welfare check.
All right.
And so when you're on programs like that, part of the goal is to get people to self-sufficiency. So not only are you receiving these benefits, but there are also other programs in place connected to those benefits that
Right.
try to get you into self-sufficiency. So because I was also living in public housing at the time, one of the programs gave me the option of either going to school, going
Mm-hmm.
into, I think it was maybe the people that cut the grass, lawn care or something
Okay.
like that.
Right. Right.
Or I saw a sign that said start your own business. And I said, hold up, wait a minute. I want to start my own business. And they said, yeah. I said, well, I don't want to go to school. I'm already in school. So I
Right.
don't want to use this opportunity to fill that gap because I'm already doing that. So I want to start my own business. Put me in that
Mm-hmm.
program. And so they did. It was a program where the Housing Authority of Baltimore City partnered with
Right.
Women Entrepreneurs of Baltimore. We
Mm-hmm.
went through an 8-week training program,
Okay.
and I was one of the businesses that successfully completed it. And on top of that,
Okay.
the Housing Authority of Baltimore City, housing community development, they became one of my largest clients for over 10 years.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. You know, 'cause I think as an entrepreneur, it's very rare that things are just laid in front of you perfect. You know, it takes
Hmm.
that, being able to see opportunity and chase
Hmm.
it. And that's one thing that has helped me before. Being able to see opportunities and chase that. And then I
Yes.
think secondly, when it comes to women-owned or minority-owned companies, people don't notice, but there are so many services programs out here that can help you. So if you're
Yes.
trying to get into an industry or you're trying to get started, I think that's a great way to go because there's programs set aside to help people that are trying to get started. So
Mhm.
um, let's go back to your story. You got
Okay.
into the computer training. What are some of the early lessons you learned in doing computer training?
One of the most important lessons I learned was being able to adjust and being able to pivot.
Okay.
As I said, my company started as, to be completely honest, my company originally started as a desktop publishing company.
Mm,
And as I was
okay.
going through the program, I remember working with oh my gosh, I cannot remember his name. But anyway, so I remember going through the program and we fleshed out the idea because we wanted something that was feasible. So that's
Okay.
also key in bringing in income and staying
Right.
profitable. You have to have a feasible idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, Staples, Office Depot, they were just getting into doing like the desktop publishing stuff. So I had to
Right.
add something to my service. So very early on, I added the computer training component.
Okay.
So one of the biggest lessons I learned is being able to reassess, adjust, and pivot.
All right. Great. Yeah, I love that. I think that's key. Even like now in this time of the
Hmm.
pandemic and being this virtual environment. If you're
Yes.
doing business the same way you did business even 2 years ago, you're
Hmm.
behind. Now
Yes.
social media, digital, even now this platform, video. This is the
Hmm.
way that people communicate now. So I always think it's a hallmark of any company that you're not only doing what you have to do now, but you're looking forward and you're seeing
Yes.
what new trends you have to adjust to. I always tell a story about Blockbuster and Netflix.
Hmm.
There was a time when people thought it would be crazy to sit home and stream movies.
Yeah.
And Blockbuster, they passed on that technology. And look at Blockbuster now, they're out of business. So
They're
if you
out of
don't
business.
update what you're doing, you go out of business. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So tell me more about Bit by Bit. What services do you offer?
So the base or the core of what we offer is break fix, and we offer when I say break fix, I mean okay, your screen cracked,
Right.
there's some type of physical or software issue with your equipment, we service that.
Okay.
That is a field that quickly became very saturated, so again
Right.
we had to pivot. What are we doing? So we already had the training. We had received a lot of contract dollars from doing training. That started to dry up. Okay, how are we going to pivot? How are we going to stay relative? So one
Hmm.
passion, actually two passions that I really have is cybersecurity, which we are venturing into now, where
Okay.
we offer security assessments to your infrastructure, come in
Hmm.
and we test it. And the
Right.
other one is app development. we are
Hmm.
into that as well. So
Okay.
these are two ways that pre-pandemic we started to pivot. Once the
Right.
pandemic settled in, we've started getting calls for how from other companies for how they can pivot and transform
Hmm.
their technology to be able to stay
Right.
relevant. So I'm very excited that we just picked up a really nice contract being able to do
Hmm.
that for one of the local nonprofits, which we come in, they offer training, and we're helping them to go completely virtual,
Oh,
helping them
awesome.
to create learning management systems where people can go online and pull down trainings and do things like that.
Right.
So that's where we're resting right now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And once again, going back to just being relevant,
Yeah.
things are changing now. And one thing I know is that there are a lot of companies, organizations that need help
Hmm.
transitioning into this new digital environment. So that's great that you're taking advantage of that. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. I think
Hmm.
if we're honest, nobody gets here by themselves. I don't care
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
self-made millionaire or what. Nobody gets here without some help from somebody. So what are some mentors you had along the way that helped you, become the business person you are today?
Yes, and I wrote their names down because I didn't want to forget. But I'm gonna try to go. I'm gonna try to go off the top of my head,
Yeah.
and I pray if I forget anybody, charge it to the brain and not the heart. So, getting
Right.
started. We have. Oh my God, Ronald.
We don't need names. Just tell me kind of what the
I
person
will
did
tell
for you.
you that. So one of my biggest champions was, I'll say Felicia Hill. She is
Okay.
in HABC. Portia Meacham, she's in HABC. Jimmy
Right.
Thomas, he's the CIO from HABC.
Okay.
I've had two that I can't mention who were in the
Hmm.
Obama administration,
Okay.
who were really big champions in helping me along. I can also tell you that very early on, I
Hmm.
started a relationship with Robert Wallace, and he had agreed to be my mentor.
Okay.
You know, he's the founder of
Yeah.
Fifth Technologies. And
Right.
if I had to say one of my biggest failures was I did not follow through
Mm,
with that
yeah.
relationship. However, I am not one to leave an opportunity behind. So I
Right.
have reached out to him recently, and I'm hoping that we can reconnect and he can still serve as a
Hmm.
mentor for me. But one thing that I've learned is that if you're open and if you share your story, everybody is not out to get you. Some people
Right.
genuinely
Want to
want
help.
to help you.
Right.
So it's just about finding people who speak your language and people who are willing to support you.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, mentors help so much because they can
Mhm.
help you. The things you just don't know and things you won't
Yeah.
know because you don't have the experience. So somebody can say, "Hey, I've been there before. This is something you should avoid, or this is something you should look into."
Mhm.
That's something that's very helpful. So, you mentioned giving back. Do you do any mentoring to other people, helping them along the way?
Yes, I've served as a mentor for Season Women's Ministry with
Okay.
Reverend Dr. Joan Wharton, where we mentored young girls who are in middle school.
Okay.
I've also facilitated a number of give back programs where we bring technology into communities that don't normally have them. So
Right.
if there are organizations or community centers or something that don't
Hmm.
have computers or internet or things like that, then I
Right.
facilitate the program where we can bring that into the community.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
One thing I saw, I think on your Instagram page, the name was Share the Journey, and
Hmm.
I'll have you explain that more. But I think even this conversation, everybody has a story, that
Hmm.
we can learn from and pull from. So, tell me more about that. Share the journey, and what does that mean to you?
So, for me, it's very important for me that people understand that everything is possible. You know, it doesn't matter where you come from. It, excuse me, it doesn't matter what your beginning is. It doesn't matter if you're from a family with drug and alcohol abuse. It doesn't matter if, you're from a single parent home. Doesn't matter if you have a gap in your teeth. If you have something that's on the inside of you,
Right.
everything is possible. And
Right.
so, for me through social media, I just really wanted to put my experience out there
Mhm.
so people can come along, sharing that journey
Right.
with me, and hopefully it will inspire somebody else to act
Hmm.
on the seeds that have been planted within themselves.
Yeah, great. I love that. And one thing that I found out too now that it's just not about business because talking
Mm-hmm.
about money and clients gets boring. But
Mm-hmm.
I found now if you can combine, your business with a story of passion, it
Mm-hmm.
makes things grow so much, so much more. So, it's fine if you have a great business, but you can say, hey, we have a business and we partner with this and this agencies, to do these services. It makes it natural. It draws people in. So
Mm-hmm.
I think stories are very powerful. That's how people are drawn in by stories.
Exactly.
People want to
It
find
makes you
ways.
human.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you human. And, I think it goes back to that old business saying people do business with people they like. And
Yes.
even on that same note, people don't do business with brands. They don't
Yeah,
come bit by bit. They come to Kimberly Branch because they
that's true.
respect you and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk more about what you're doing now. I know you mentioned you're getting into construction. Tell me more about how that came along and kind of what are your plans for that?
So, of course, in IT, I did a lot of project management, or I do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of project management. So, that's a skill that can transfer, and I can take it anywhere. At the beginning of the pandemic, my mom's house burned down, and
Right.
again, I'm a person who recognizes opportunities. I look
Mm-hmm.
for opportunities. So, understanding the process of working with an insurance company and understanding the process of rebuilding a home, I quickly pivoted. I started a new
Okay.
company. It's called Mr. Hallett. We
Okay.
specialize in debris removal. We also specialize in project management for construction projects. After having that experience, I was
Right.
able to take that and then become I guess, a participant in a program that's offered by Baltimore City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for people who want to start to do business with Baltimore City, especially in the arena of construction. And I was able to become a successful complete I was able to successfully complete
Mm-hmm.
that program, and I'm excited about it. I'm very
Right.
excited.
Yeah, it's also awesome. So sitting
Hmm.
here talking to you, I'm hearing a recurring theme. You're doing things that are already in your arena. Whether it
Hmm.
was watching your mother and other family sell dinners to having a house party to starting bit by bit. It's now getting construction. So you're doing things that are already in your arena that you have experience with, and I think that's great because there's so many times we hear ideas and want to do them, but I think if you're doing things that come natural to you,
Hmm.
it makes sense, and not only natural, but using your experiences and
Yeah.
turn it into a business because whether it's taxes, whether it's construction, everybody has something that they can use to make money. So I really like that. So moving along, we have a segment called Explain That Graham, and
Hmm.
what we do is we go to your Instagram account, we find
Hmm.
a picture that's different, that's funny,
Hmm.
and we show it and we want you to explain it. So this picture, I think, is you working on a computer. It seems like on somebody's kitchen counter. Tell me the story behind this picture.
So, the story behind that picture is I have a cousin who
Okay.
her computer broke down. She had a project that was due that night. Her computer broke down, and of course, she brought it to me. And the funny part is, when she came in to my home, she came in carrying it like a person who would come running into an emergency room with a sick child in their hand,
Right.
saying,
Right.
"Help
Right.
me." So
Hmm.
I often joke that whenever I have to go inside of a computer, I'm
Hmm.
operating or I'm the doctor. So she brought it to me. She laid it on the counter. I got all the pertinent information, and then I was able to go in. I had to replace some parts, do a
Right.
little operation, and
Okay.
repair the computer. But
Right.
yeah, yeah, that was my whole doctor scene.
Okay. So when you're doing computer repair, what are some of the common issues you see?
Oh goodness. Computer repair common issue is people holding on to equipment for much longer than they should. And
Right.
now the technology that we are running now, the technology from 2, 3, 4 years ago cannot support it. And just like everybody else, I'm working from home. I'm a grandmother. I'm
Right.
sure you heard my grandbaby. I'm so sorry. But so the computers from a few years ago can't support
Right.
the programs that we're running now. So I have to do a lot of replacing of
Hmm.
actual components, getting
Right.
people to upgrade to newer systems. We don't really do too much break fix anymore. We still do because
Okay.
it's a staple in the business, but when we do have to do it, it's mostly components or really people not securing their systems properly.
Right.
So I have to do different software updates and
Okay.
things like
All right, great. So, one question we ask everybody. So,
that.
this interview ends right now. You
Mhm.
go outside, you open your front door, you look down, and there's a ticket, a lottery ticket for $10 million.
Mhm.
What do you do with that $10 million?
Okay, so just like everybody else, first thing I'm gonna do is cash it and go eat.
Right,
But
right,
of course, I want a nice home. I want a piece of land. There's certain things I'm going to do for myself. But
right.
then one of my goals has always been to build community,
Okay,
and not just community in a sense where you have nice housing. Of course, that is a part of it, but a community where there are also resources that don't really fall under the guidelines of regular
right.
government programs, where you can do a
Okay,
little bit more and create an environment where people are safe, create
right.
an environment where people can learn different trades, create an environment where people can then start their own businesses, maybe a
Okay,
few incubators or some actual buildings where people
right.
can come in and spend maybe 2 years, build their business, and then move on to another location and let another business come in. So
Okay,
that's really, I call it the bit by bit community, but yeah, that's
okay, great. Yeah, well, that was a great time talking with you. So, I always ask, at the end of the day, people want to find you. So, what is the best way to find you, and how can they get in contact you for service?
okay. So one thing I did want to mention, people can
Hmm.
always find me on Tuesday on Facebook doing Tax Talk Tuesday. Not only do I have Bit by Bit, the IT company,
Hmm.
but I also have Kimberly Cherie, the full service income tax preparation company. So you can find me on Facebook under Kimberly Branch. You can find me on Instagram under Share in the Journey. You can find me on LinkedIn at Kimberly Branch, and also Bit by Bit Computer Training is on Facebook.
Okay.
We do have a website. It is not complete yet.
Hmm.
We are doing some revamps, but it's kimberlycherie.com.
Great. Awesome. Well, Kimberly, thanks again for being in the program.
Thank
Hearing your
you.
story was refreshing. How you started and how you got to where you're at now. So, thanks again for being on the show.
All right. Thank you.
So once again, that was a great conversation with Kimberly Branch, learning more about what she does and how she got started. And the one thing I take from that conversation was starting where you're at. No matter where you're at, just look around you. There's so much opportunity that you can take care of. So if you're taking care of a parent, if you're repairing your house, if you're seeing taxes not being done, do what's natural, do what's around you. I believe that's a great way to grow your business. So once again, you were listening to In the Black every week, every Thursday at 5 p.m. We're right here, and we're sharing stories of diverse entrepreneurs, sharing their challenges, their ups and downs, but most importantly, what they've done, what they do to stay in the black and to be a profitable business. So, once again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again here on next Thursday at 5 p.m. Take care. Bye.
Do I hang up now?